How's everybody doing? It's good. All right. It's good to see everybody here. I'm going to go ahead and get started. We're going to stand up, face Jerusalem, and open up. We ask that the brothers cover your heads, sisters, please cover your heads as we stand up and face Jerusalem and pray.
Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. In earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread.
Give us this day our daily bread.
Forgive us our debts.
And forgive us our debts.
We forgive our debtors.
As we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation.
And lead us not into temptation.
But deliver us from evil.
But deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom.
For thine is the kingdom.
The power.
And the power.
And the glory.
And the glory.
Forever. Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
For he is good.
For he is good.
And his mercy endures forever.
And his mercy endures forever.
Praise the Lord God of Israel.
Praise the Lord God of Israel.
For he is good.
For he is good.
And his mercy endures forever.
And his mercy endures forever.
These things we pray in Jesus' name.
These things we pray in Jesus'
The Holy
name.
One of Israel.
The Holy One of
The
Israel.
Mighty One of Jacob.
Mighty One of Jacob.
The Lord of Lords.
The Lord of Lords.
King of Kings.
And King of Kings.
Amen. Today's scripture reading will be taken from Titus. First chapter. But they are many unruly and vain talkers and deceivers, especially they of the circumcision, whose mouths must be stopped, who subvert whole houses, teaching things which they ought not for filthy lucre's sake. One of themselves, even a prophet of their own, said, the Christians are always liars, evil beasts, and slow bellies. This witness is true. Wherefore, rebuke them sharply, that they may be sound in the faith, not giving heed to Jewish fables and commandments of men that turn from the truth. I read it to Titus, the first chapter, verses 10 to 14. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading of his word in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. All praise, all glory, all honors most certainly due to the Most High, the God of the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Peace to each and every one of you in the name of Jesus. Count it truly a blessing each and every time that I come before you to preach the word of God. Never ever do I count it as a light thing to do so. The title of today's lesson is The Pagan Origins of Christian Holidays. Again, that title is The Pagan Origins of Christian Holidays. It's the end of God's feast days have come upon us, and with their culmination, we enter into the end of, or the beginning of Christian holidays, or the end of Christian holidays, excuse me. Days that have been stamped with the name of Christ, days that have been approved and sanctioned by religious institutions, days that practically the whole world, even those who do not practice any Christian religion, they observe. However, today the cloak will be removed, and we shall see very clearly that these days are pagan in origin. So the question becomes, what is the problem? Why should a believer not observe these days in honor of God, as long as you do it in the right spirit? The problem is that God never told you to observe Sunday worship, Christmas, Lent, Easter, etc., etc., etc. What is the problem? Your observance of these days is in total contradiction of the instruction of God. It reveals your own audacity, the sheer arrogance, the unmitigated gall for man, the creation of God, to ignore the days that he told us to observe and replace these days that were originally created in honor of false gods. During the course of this lesson, we shall see the following. We shall see what days God gave us to observe. We shall see how to worship God. We shall see that the holidays of Christianity are indeed false. We shall see that ultimately this false worship will come to an end. The title is The Pagan Origins of Christian Holidays. We want to start off in the Gospel according to John. John chapter 4. We're going to John and find out what we need to understand about God. This is John chapter 4, beginning at verse 24. John chapter 4 and verse 24 reads, God is a spirit, And they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. If you call yourself worshiping God, you can't make it up. He's not like you. He's not like me. He's not flesh and blood. He is a spirit. He does not need your help in anything. He knows exactly what he wants you to do. As a matter of fact, he told you what he wants you to do. So here, the master has to instruct the Samaritan woman about worship. And he says, God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. Let's go find out what truth is. Let's stay in the gospel according to John and go to chapter 17. What is truth? Some people say, you have your truth, I have my truth. And there we have a happy medium. No, absolutely not. Let's find out what truth is. Because truth is not what you say. It certainly isn't what just I say. Let's find out what truth is. This is the gospel according to John chapter 17 and beginning at verse 14. When you're ready, go ahead.
I have given them thy word.
Now here, prior to his passion, the Messiah, in his intercessory prayer, he's praying in regard to his people. It says, I have given them thy word. And what happened because they got the word? Go ahead.
And the world had hated them.
The world had hated them because the word is in total contradiction to the world. The love of the world is enmity with God. I have given them thy word, and the world hath hated them. It is the word that will change you, that will transform you into a new type of creature, a new individual, one who is washed with the water of the word, one who is no longer following after your carnal mindset, your fleshly nature, and as a result, now you have just become one who is in total contradiction to the rest of the world. This world is upside down, the word turns you right side up. But now you look upside down to the rest of the world. So now you are peculiar. So now you are weird. So now you are strange. And so the master prays. He said, I have given them thy word, and the world hath hated them. It is a word that brings forth persecution. Go ahead.
Because they are not of the world, even as I am not of the world.
He said, because they are not of the world, you are sanctified by what? By the word of God. That's what sanctifies you. Keep reading, please.
I pray that thou shouldest take them out of the world.
He said, I pray not that thou shouldest take them out of the world, but what?
But that thou shouldest keep them from the evil.
But that thou shouldest keep them from the evil. Verse 16.
They are not of the world.
Again, he reiterates, they are not of the world. Go ahead.
Even as I am not of the world.
Even as he was not of the world. How was he not of the world? He was perfect in all his ways. A lamb without blemish and without spot. One without sin. And he's calling you to be just like him. He said, walk before me and be thou perfect. That is the call that was there even in the beginning with Adam. Even with the patriarch Abraham. Walk before me and be thou perfect. They are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. Sanctify them. Go ahead.
Sanctify them through thy truth.
Set them apart through thy truth. What is truth?
That word is truth.
His word is truth. So God is a spirit. They that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. So what is truth? Thy word is truth. You cannot worship an almighty, omnipotent, omnipresent God according to what you say. It has to be according to the truth. What is truth? His word is truth. If you want to know how to worship him, you got to go to the truth. His word is truth. The word tells you what he wants you to do. Let's go to Psalms 119 division and see what David wrote concerning truth. This is Psalms 119 and verse 142. Psalms 119 and verse 142. When you're ready, go ahead.
Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness.
So, this is an acoustic song. Everyone starts out with the Hebrew letter, and he started out this one. He said, righteous art thou, O Lord, and upright are thy judgments. Then he said, thy righteousness, referring to the Almighty. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and what?
And thy law is the truth.
And thy law is the truth. So if you want to know how to worship God, it has to be according to the truth. What is truth? His word is truth. What else? His law. It's according to his law. You can't make it according to what you say. Let's skip down to verse 151. We ready to go ahead?
Thou art near, O Lord.
Thou art near, O Lord. He's communing with you through his word, through his Torah, through his instruction, through his law, statutes, and commandments. He said, thou art near, O Lord, and what?
And all thy commandments are true.
And all thy commandments are true. The law, commandments, the word, it's all true. This is how we should worship God. Let's go to the book of Nehemiah. This is how we should worship him. Nehemiah, the 9th chapter. We're going to pick it up at verse 7. Because we're going to find out what he gave unto his people. This is Nehemiah. And in the days of Ezra and Nehemiah, they're coming out of Babylonian and Medo-Persian captivity. Let's pick it up at Nehemiah 9 and verse 7. Let's see what's written. When you're ready, go ahead.
Thou art the Lord the God.
Uh-huh.
Who didst choose Abram and brought him forth out of the earth of the Chaldees, and gave him the name of Abraham.
He said, so you are the one. You are the Lord, the God who didn't choose Abram and brought him out of Ur the Chaldees. You brought him out of southern Babylon. You brought him out of the hub of all false worship. He called him out and said, walk before me and be thou perfect. And he said, he gave him the name of Abraham. He said, if you do this, you'll be a father of many nations. Verse 8.
And found his heart faithful before thee.
He is the father of faith, even willing to sacrifice his son. When you really understand his willingness to sacrifice his son was a picture of what the father did with his son. But it said, and found his heart faithful before thee, and what?
And made us a covenant with him to give the land of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, and the Perizzites,
Go ahead.
and the Jebusites, and the Girgashites, to give it, I say, to his seed, and has performed thy words, for thou art righteous.
Thou art righteous, and righteousness is based on the law. But let's skip down to verse 13. What else did he do?
Thou was coming down also upon Mount Sinai.
So many years later, so they're acknowledging. Now they're coming out of captivity, right? And they're acknowledging this God. He said, thou camest down also upon Mount Sinai. The mountain was on fire. Go ahead.
And speakest with him from heaven.
No other people like you on the planet. No other people had the revelation of God as a nation like we did. Thou camest down also upon Mount Sinai and spakest with them from heaven. Only you have known of all the nations of the earth. Therefore I will punish you for all your iniquity. Go ahead.
And gave us them right judgment.
You gave them right judgments and what?
And true law.
You gave them truth. We had the truth. Thou camest down also upon Mount Sinai, spakest with them from heaven, and gave us them right judgments, or righteous judgments, and true laws. Go ahead.
Good statutes and commandments.
Good statutes and commandments. And did what?
And made us known unto them thy holy Sabbath.
And made us known unto them thy holy Sabbath. Go ahead.
And commandest them precepts, statutes, and laws by the hand of Moses thy servant.
So that intercessor, that one that came, he was the go-between, and he gave it to the people who came from God. Let's go to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, and see the days that he gave us. See, you got so many talking about they believe in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but they don't do what the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob said to do. When he specifically gave you days to observe, but you, in your arrogance, want to come up with your own days. That's why he's coming back in wrath. Leviticus 23 and verse 1. When you ready, go ahead.
And the Lord spake to Moses, saying.
So the Lord is speaking unto Moses. He's telling him what he wants. He's told us what he wants. Go ahead.
Speaking to the children of Israel, and saying to them,
go ahead.
Concerning the feast of the Lord,
go ahead.
Ye shall proclaim to be holy convocation. Even these are my feasts.
So these feasts are of the Lord, not of anyone else. not of the Jews, they're not Mosaic, they are of the Most High. He said, you shall proclaim them to be holy gatherings. Even these are my feasts. If you want to know how to worship me, here it is. Go ahead.
6 days shall work be done. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest and holy convocation.
Go ahead.
You should do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings.
6 days work shall be done, but the 7th day he has sanctified it and set it apart. It is a day of rest, which is what Sabbath means, what Sabbath means. It says in a holy convocation, it's a holy gathering, do no work therein. Just as he worked for 6 days, he rested on the 7th, so shall man work for 6 days or 6,000 years and have a millennial rest. And he said, it is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings. So if you're coming out of Medo-Persian captivity, if you're coming out of Babylonian captivity, wherever, if you're right here, right now, coming into the knowledge of self in captivity, it's still the Sabbath day. Verse 4.
These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations. Ye shall proclaim in their seeds.
Then he goes on to tell you about the holy gatherings ye shall proclaim annually. Verse 5.
In the 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover.
So he says, he starts off with the Lord's Passover, which is fitting because that is the day when they came under the blood to escape this destroying angel. 14th day on the first month, they take the blood of the lamb, put it on the side post and the doorpost. In verse 6, it says, in the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto the Lord. 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. So just as they had to come up under the blood, now you have to eat unleavened bread. Let's go to verse 15. You ready? Go ahead.
And ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that ye brought the sheep of the wave off. 7 Sabbaths shall be complete.
Go ahead.
Even until the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall ye number 50 days. Ye shall offer a new meat offering unto the Lord.
Go ahead.
Ye shall bring out of your habitations 2 wave loaves and 2 tenth deeds. They should be of fine flour. They should be baked with leaven. They are the first fruits unto the Lord.
So now you got a day of, or a feast of weeks. Right? So you got the 7-day Sabbath, you got the Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, what we call Pentecostal Feast of Weeks. Let's skip down to verse 23. Or verse 23.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speaking to the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, in the first day of the month, so you have a Sabbath, a memorial.
One second. My mistake. Let's go back up a little bit. Let's just read into this. Let's go to verse 20. When you're ready, go ahead. Verse 20.
And the priest shall wave them with the bread of the first fruit for a wave offering before the Lord. With the 2 lambs that should be holy to the Lord for the priest. And he shall proclaim on the self-same day that it may be a holy convocation unto you. He shall do no servile work therein.
Go ahead.
It should be a statute forever in all your dwellings throughout your generations.
So you had that wave offering during that time. But let's go. Let's keep reading. Verse 22.
And when you reap the harvest of your land, thou shalt not make clean riddance of the corners of thy field that when thou reapest. Neither shalt thou gather any gleaning of thy harvest.
Go ahead.
Thou shalt leave them unto the poor, to the stranger. I am the Lord your God.
Welfare system. But verse 23.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speaking to the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, in the first day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial blowing of trumpets.
So now you got a memorial blowing of trumpets. It says in the holy convocation or holy gathering, verse 25.
Ye should do no servile work therein. And ye should offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord.
Verse 26.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, also on the 10th day of this 7th month,
what you gonna do?
There should be a day of atonement.
You shall afflict yourselves. Go ahead.
It should be a holy convocation unto you.
A holy gathering. Go ahead.
And you shall afflict your soul.
Meaning you shall fast. Go ahead.
And offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord.
All right, let's get down to verse 33. When you ready, go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying,
again, the Lord spake unto Moses. The Lord spake unto Moses. The Lord spake unto Moses. It is clear what we are to do. He told us. It's right here. Verse 34.
Speaking to the children of Israel, saying, the 15th day of the 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days until the Lord.
So now you got the ends in the fall with the Feast of Tabernacles. Go ahead.
On the first day should be a holy convocation. You should do no servile work therein.
So on that first day you have a holy gathering. Go ahead.
7 days you should offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. On the 8th day shall be a holy convocation unto you.
And on the 8th day, so on the first day you have a holy convocation, on the 8th day you have a holy convocation. We understand that we don't do any sacrifices because the Messiah is the ultimate sacrifice. Go ahead.
And you should offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord.
What about that 8th day?
It is a solemn assembly.
It is a solemn assembly. Go ahead.
And you should do no servile work therein.
What are these? Verse 37.
These are the feasts of the Lord. We shall proclaim to be holy convocations.
Go ahead.
To offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord, a burnt offering and a meat offering, a sacrifice, a drink offering, everything upon his day.
These are the days that he gave us. We didn't read anything about Sunday worship, weekly Sunday worship. We didn't read anything about Christmas and Easter, Halloween, none of that. Let's go to Colossians. Let's see what Paul wrote to the Colossians. And in reading this, we should understand how we should feel about the feast days that we just read about. The feast days that are largely ignored by the rest of the world. The feast days that are ignored by Christendom, those who practice Christianity, those who proclaim to believe in Christ, claim to believe in the Bible. This is Colossians 2 and verse 16. What does he say? What does Paul the apostle to the Gentiles say concerning these feast days? You ready to go ahead?
Let no man therefore judge you in meat, or in drink, or in respect of an holy day, or the new moon, or the Sabbath day.
So he said, let no man therefore judge you in these things. Understand, this church at Colossae, they had their own days, their customs, their pagan traditions, and now they're coming into the knowledge of the word. And so now they are like you. They have become a peculiarity. They have become strange. They have become weird. They have become what? Sanctified. So it said, let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink, or respect of an holy day, or of the new moon, or the Sabbath days. Why should you let no man judge you in these things? What are we? What are they? Verse 17.
Which are a shadow of things to come.
They are a shadow of things to come. Like I mentioned earlier, the 7th-day Sabbath points to the rest to come. The Passover pointed to the Messiah, who is the Lamb of God. You have to come up under his blood. The Feast of Unleavened Bread points to you having what? The law of God in your mouth. Pentecost points to what? Points to the resurrection. The memorial going to the trumpets shows you all the things that will happen at the sound of the trumpet. The return of Christ is happening at the sound of the trumpet. The gathering of the children of Israel from all the places where they have been scattered is at the sound of the trumpet. The resurrection is at the sound of the trumpet. The Day of Atonement points to you and I needing to be atoned, and having that atonement through the Messiah. And Tabernacles is a memorial pointing to a time in which we dwelt in tabernacles, but it points to a regathering of his people, and also points to a gathering into the God family. Don't tell me nothing about his feast days. You can't tell me nothing about the plan of God in relation to some falsehood, because your falsehood, that pagan worship, points to nothing. So I might think, why is this relevant to us? Why should we in here right now? You understand, you come from a people, let me tell you about your stock. You come from a people who God manifested himself unto directly. Came down upon a mount, the mount was on fire, and Moses was gone but for a little time. And what did you do? Make a golden calf. So if you claim to be a believer, you can't tell me about, I don't need to hear this. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Because you got to think about it. Even if Moses never returned, they had no business dealing in that idolatry. But let's go to Revelation, the 17th chapter. You finished?
Verse 17, finish.
Thank you.
He said, which are a shadow of things to come, but the body is of Christ.
Thank you. Let's go to Revelation 17. They are a shadow of things to come. Revelation 17. Let's have to ask yourself, what if this is the case? We read Old and New Testament concerning the feast days. How is it that the world has gone totally astray? How is it if you ask somebody, or you tell somebody you keeping a feast, they have no clue of what they are? We're going to find out how that took place. Let's go to Revelation, the 17th chapter, and we'll pick it up at verse 1. Let's see what John said. This is Revelation 17 and verse 1. When you ready, go ahead.
And there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither.
Go ahead.
I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters.
So now he said, I'm going to show you the judgment of this great whore. So now when it's talk, usually when you read about a church, it's female, right? Like the church started in the wilderness. Israel is his church, right? That's his bride. She's committed adultery. Nevertheless, she's his, and dealing with other gods. Nevertheless, she's his bride, and she's going to be returned back to her husband. But he said, there's one though, a great whore that sitteth upon many waters. And what have the leaders of this earth done throughout the course of human history with this whore? Verse 2.
With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication.
They've committed fornication. The fornication is not a physical fornication. It is a spiritual fornication. It is a false worship. It said, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication. What about the inhabitants of the earth? Go ahead.
And the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication.
They've been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. This is the bad doctrine that has been dispersed throughout all of the earth. This is why people don't know about the feast days of God. This is why people don't know about the true worship of God. Verse 3.
So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness. And I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet covered beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns.
So now this woman is over this reunified Roman Empire. This woman is a religious institution. He said, he took me in the spirit into the wilderness. His mind is being projected, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. See, so he's taking you back to Daniel, when you understand. And these Gentile kingdoms, you had Babylon, you had the Medes and the Persians, you had the Greeks, and you had the Romans. And they're being reunified in these last days. But verse 4.
And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls.
So this woman has extreme immense wealth. And I know she was riding the beast. You think it's coincidence that the leaders of this earth, they go to the Pope? They go to him. He don't come to them. They go to him and make obeisance to him, because he is not just a priest, he is a king. It's saying the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of what?
Of abominations and filthiness of her fornication.
See, out of this cup is all the bad doctrine that the inhabitants of the earth, that the leaders of the earth have drunk, and they've been made drunken from this bad doctrine. Verse 5.
And upon her forehead was a name written.
What was on this whore's forehead? Go ahead.
Mystery Babylon the Great.
See, he said Mystery Babylon the Great. We're going to see the significance of Babylon. That same place that Abraham was called under. But it said Mystery Babylon the Great, the what?
The mother of whore.
She's the mother of whore. That sounds like strong language, but this is the Bible calling it this. Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of prostitution. Go ahead.
And abominations of the earth.
What else about this woman? Verse 6.
And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints.
When you say I saw this woman drunk with the blood of the saints, think about all the bloodshed, the inquisitions. Catholics said you're going to be a Catholic or you're going to die. Go ahead.
And with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration.
Let's go ahead.
And the angel said unto me, wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman, and the beast that carrieth her, which have the 7 heads and 10 horns. So let's see about these 7 heads. Let's skip down to verse 9 so we can identify the location of this whore. Verse 9, when you ready, go ahead. And here is the man which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. So this woman is situated upon 7 mountains. Let's go to the first reference. Mystery Babylon the Great.
Okay, so first of all, we want to read in Austin Henry Laird's Nineveh and its Remains on page 444. He says something about Babylon. Here we see the significance. He said, we have the united testimony of sacred, which is scripture, and profane, which is just scholarly academic history, that idolatry originated in the area of Babylonia, the most ancient of religious systems. Some people say all roads lead to Rome, but when you're talking about the origin or the genesis of false worship, you have to go to Babylon or Babel. Go ahead. Now let's see something that was said about Rome, because it said mystery Babylon. And this is from Faith of Our Fathers by Cardinal James Gibbons, page 106. It said the penetration of the religion of Babylon became so general and well known that Rome was called the New Babylon. Why? Because they simply perpetuated that same old false worship that originated in Babylon, only they did it under the guise of Christianity. They stamped the name of Jesus. They would stamp the name of the apostles. They did these things, but ultimately it was pagan in origin. Even when you look at St. Peter's Basilica, right here you have the obelisk, which you can trace back all the way to Babylon. You see it in Egypt. It represents the male member. It represents power. And here you have the sex act going on right here. The same imagery in Washington, D.C. A phallic symbol. See, that has nothing to do with Christ. But if you're a pagan, or you understand the occult, you understand what you're looking at. Here are the 7 heads, or 7 hills on which the woman sitting. Rome was built on 7 hills. See, so the Bible's telling you, I've heard brothers say, well, America is Babylon. America is not Babylon. I'm going to say it again. America is not Babylon. America has been influenced by this mother whore, don't get me wrong, and engages in the same false worship, but America is not Babylon. This is not about America. You don't see America in the Bible. All right, let's go to Daniel 7. See, this was going on before America was a nation. America is relatively young in the course of human history. Let's go to Daniel chapter 7. So now we know who the mystery Babylon is, and one coming out of this particular institution has done some things. This is Daniel 7 and verse 15. We'll start there. Daniel 7 and verse 15. We ready to go here?
I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me.
So now his spirit is troubled, and he said, and the visions of my head trouble me. See, the Lord is showing what he's going to do and what the future looks like. He showed it to his prophets. But go ahead.
I came near to one of them that stood by and asked him the truth of all this.
Go ahead.
So he told me and made me to know the interpretation of the thing.
He told him his interpretation. Go ahead.
These great beasts, which are 4, are 4 kings which shall arise out of the earth.
So he said these great beasts that you saw are 4 kings or kingdoms which shall arise out of the earth. You see a lion that represented Babylon. You see a bear that represented the Medes and the Persians. You see a leopard that represented the Greeks. And then there was another beast that could not be identified in the taxonomy of man. That was the Roman Empire. And what made it different was that it didn't just destroy you militarily or politically. It destroyed you spiritually. It had a whole different spiritual aspect to it. Go ahead.
Verse 18. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom.
When it's all said and done, the saints of the Most High are going to take the kingdom. Go ahead.
And possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever.
Because Rome is going to rule even unto the end. See, understand that they were taken out of 476. But that wasn't the end, because they still had that other facet of rulership, which was spiritual. So you can't claim that they're not ruling spiritually amongst people. Because that's where all your Christianity comes from. That's where all the Protestant faiths come from. It says she was a mother of harlots. See, the Protestant faith are nothing but little whores. Go ahead.
Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the other.
Different. Go ahead.
Exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron and his nails of brass, which devoured, break in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet.
Totally destructive. Go ahead.
And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell.
Go ahead.
Even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellow.
So it's one of these horns that's different from all these other rulers. It says, and of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things. Vicar of Christ, servant of servants, the replacement for the Son of God. How you gonna replace Jesus? Go ahead.
I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints.
Made war with the saints and prevailed against them. Go ahead.
Until the Ancient of Days came.
So he's done it in the past, but ultimately one that's coming out of this office is going to wear out the saints. See, when you talk about what people call the Antichrist, the abomination, the desolation, that man is sin, the son of perdition, he's coming out of Rome. He's coming out of the office of the pontiff, out of the papacy. So say, I beheld in the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them until what?
Until the Ancient of Days came.
He's going to be winning until the Messiah returns. Go ahead.
And judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. And the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom.
And that's what's going to happen when he returns. Verse 23.
Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces.
Because, again, it was different, because it even lasts until this day, and it's being reunified slowly in Europe. Politically and militarily. But spiritually, it never stopped its reign. So it said, thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms. So you're not talking about Greece no more. But spiritually speaking, Rome is still in full effect. Verse 24.
And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are the 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first. He shall subdue 3 kings.
Go ahead, verse 25. Because what is this one going to do?
And he shall speak great words against the Most High.
He's going to be a blasphemer. Go ahead.
And shall wear out the saints
of the Most High. It's going to destroy the saints of the people of God. Go ahead.
And think to change times and laws.
And have the audacity, the unmitigated God, to change times and laws. They shall be given into his hand until the time and times and the dividing of times. This is talking about during the great tribulation. 3.5 years, 1260 days, 40 and 2 months. But we should understand that this one coming out of this office of the papacy has always had this mindset to change the word of God. Here, this is Pope Leo the 13th. In his address, Reunion of Christendom, he says, concerning the popes, we hold upon this earth the place of God Almighty. See, they have no qualms about telling you what they believe. This is from the Council of Laodicea, Canon 29. Now, this is 363, 364 AD. You're talking about over 300 years after Christ. Because the early believers, when the gospel was spread throughout the world, Asia Minor and parts of Europe, when it was spreading throughout the world, those early believers were being persecuted. Why? Because they were keeping the law, statutes, and commandments of God, and they believed in Christ. So what happened later with the rise of the Universal Church and the Roman Catholic Church? They co-opted that by mingling paganism with the faith. And the biggest, one huge example of that is with the Sabbath day. And it is an example of the mindset to change times and laws. And the Council of the Laodicea, Canon 29, that reads, Christians must not Judaize by resting on the Sabbath. So that's totally contrary to what the Word of God says. One of the first statutes concerning this, Constantine wrote a few years earlier in 321, March 321 AD. But the Council of Laodicea, directly from the Catholic Church, it says Christians must not Judaize by resting on the Sabbath, but must work on that day. So he's telling you to directly violate the word of God, rather honoring the Lord's Day. Now, we read the Bible, we know the Lord's Day is the day or time period in which God is going to directly intervene in the affairs of man. But when you go back to the old days of paganism, that's talking about the day of the sun, which is the day Sunday, that's what it's named after. And they would call it the Lord's Day. They're calling the sun the Lord. The S-U-N. And it says that they can't rest in then as Christians. But if any shall be found to be Judaizers, let them be anathema from Christ. So anathema means excommunicated, cut off, destroyed. That's what anathema means. So, and they tell you outrightly. They say, listen, they change things. They say, listen, this is James Stevens again from Faith of Our Fathers, which was a pivotal book, page 108. He says, but you may read from Genesis to Revelation, and you will not find a single line authorizing the sanctification of Sunday. You can't find that in the Bible. You got these unlearned Baptist preachers trying to concoct something out of here. Well, you know, Paul broke bread on the Sabbath. But they tell you already, it's not in the Bible. They changed it. When you read the Catechism of Catholicism, they tell you they changed it. So the scriptures enforce the religious observance of Saturday, a day which we never sanctify. Hypocrites, go ahead. This is a letter from C.F. Thomas. He says, of course, the Catholic Church claims that the change, talking about Sunday, was her act. And the act is a mark of her ecclesiastical power and authority in religious matters. He said, if we didn't have a power, we couldn't have did it now, and the world followed after. But when you read the Bible tells you, Old Testament, New Testament, don't change the word of God. Don't add and don't take away. Here we see a critique of Protestantism. From John O'Brien, The Faith of Millions, The Credentials of the Catholic Religion, Revised Edition, page 400 through 401. It says, but since Saturday, not Sunday, is specified in the Bible, isn't it curious that non-Catholics who claim to take their religion directly from the Bible and not from the church observe Sunday instead of Saturday? Yes, of course. It is inconsistent, but this change was made about 15 centuries before Protestantism was born, and by that time the custom was universally observed. They have continued the custom even though it rests upon the authority of the Catholic Church and not upon the explicit text in the Bible. Like I said, he said reading the Bible, it said mother whore, but you got some little whores running around. She birthed out some children, and they carrying the same doctrine. They may not, they say, we don't believe in the supremacy of the Pope, but you're still a Catholic. Because you're still dealing in Catholic doctrine. You're still drunk. So that observance remains as a reminder of the mother church. Because she's the mother whore from which the non-Catholic sects broke away. Martin Luther in them. Like a boy, he said, listen to this. He said, these other sects, these Protestants ran away like a boy running away from home, but still carrying in his pocket a picture of his mother or a lock of her hair. Going in. Now, this next reference is showing why the sun was so important amongst pagans. Okay, and this is from the Secret Teaching of All Ages, and this is Albert Pike, who was an occultist, who was the founder of the Scottish Rite Freemasonry. He's talking about sun worship here in this book, which was written by Manly P. Hall, another occultist. But he said to them, Aboriginal peoples, the sun was the innate fire of bodies, the fire of nature, author of life, heat, and ignition. He was to them the efficient cause of all generation. But without him, there was no movement, no existence, no form. So what he's saying is the people, the ancient peoples, when they looked out and they saw the sun, they understood the importance of the sun. They understood that you would have no life without the sun. What they didn't understand was that sun, just like them and the earth and all the other stars, is a creation of an almighty God. It says he was to them immense, indivisible, imperishable, and everywhere present. It was their need of life and of his creative energy that was felt by all men, and nothing was more fearful to them than his absence. His beneficent influences caused his identification with the principle of good. So now what did they do? They began throughout all different cultures, because you look throughout all the world and they practice sun worship. Why? Because they looked at the sun the same way. That was a universal thing. And then they began to personify the sun. So the Brahma of the Hindus, Mithras of the Persians, and Osiris of the Egyptians, the Baal of the Chaldeans, the Adonai of the Phoenicians, the Adonis and Apollo of the Greeks became but personifications of the sun. So these are just their sun gods. And you see the same sun worship in Catholicism. Look at Frankie right here. He had the same sunburst that you see in this relief from ancient Babylon. You have to ask yourself the question, what is he doing? Read this verse to me. Where you got the Eucharist and the sun. See, this is all about sun worship. When you look at their edifices, when you look throughout Catholicism, that's the main thing in life. And that's how they were able to bring all the pagans into the universal church. Because if you've been practicing sun worship and you see your same symbols, when you see you've been worshiping the Queen of Heaven and the next day marry the Queen of Heaven, that's not a big jump. That's not a big jump at all. Let's go back. Go back to that. Hey. All right, let's go to Luke 4. The Gospel according to Luke chapter 4. Luke chapter 4, and we're going to pick it up at verse 14. Because, see, and they do this all under the guise of following Christ, calling themselves Christians. Like the council of the Laodicea was saying, Christians shouldn't do this, Christians shouldn't do that. Let's see what a Christian should do. Don't be a Christian and keep the Sabbath. But let's see what Christ did, you hypocrite. Luke 4 at verse 14. When you ready, go ahead.
And Jesus returned in the power of the Spirit of Galilee. And there went out a fame of him throughout all the region about.
And what did he do?
And he taught in the synagogues, being glorified of all.
So he went into the synagogue, being glorified of all. Go ahead.
And he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up.
And what was his custom?
And as his custom was, he went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day.
He didn't go in on Sunday. His custom was he went in on the Sabbath day because that's what the law said to do. And what did he do?
And stood up for it to read.
And stood up for to read. These hypocrites for a long time wouldn't even let you read the Bible in the language that you spoke. It says he came to Nazareth where he had been brought up, and as his custom was, he went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day and stood up for to read. But the council of the Laodicea says, all Christians better not be Judaizers or you are excommunicated. So who's following Christ? Not them. Exodus 12. Exodus 12. You're not following Christ with sun worship, the Lord's Day on Sunday. That's a lie. Exodus 12, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Because we want to deal with even the keeping of time is off. We are told that the new year begins in January, on January 1st. That's a new year. You got people with party streamers and balloons, counting down 10, 9, 8, 7, because they're drunk 6, 5, they keep on counting down. And you know what? Happy New Year! Yeah, they kiss somebody in the mouth. And you know what? Nothing's changed. Still a dead of winter. Nothing's changed. But let's see, according to God, when the new year is. This is Exodus 12. We're going to pick it up at verse 1. You ready? Go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, this month shall be unto you the beginning of months.
So now, he tells them again, This month shall be the beginning of months. To you, it says, this month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. See, coming out of Egyptian captivity, everything's taken from you. You even have another time in which you have to keep. That's just like us right here in this sojourn, in this diaspora. We're going along with the Gregorian calendar that is totally contrary to the calendar that God gave us. We look on the calendar, we're going to see coming up Halloween, Christmas, January 1st. But he said this month shall be the beginning of months to you. When he came to his people, when he brought them out of bondage, he gave them his time. Go ahead.
Speaking to all the congregation of Israel, saying, in the 10th day of this month, they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of the father, the lamb for an house.
And it's important to know when this is, because, why? Because then you can start to calculate his feast days. So in that first month, he said on the 10th day of the first month, you shall take a lamb. You kept that lamb until the 14th day of the first month, and that's when the feast of the Passover is. But go ahead, verse 4.
And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next to his house take it according to the number of the soul.
Go ahead.
Every man according to his eating shall make your account for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. You shall take it out from the sheep or from the goat.
Go ahead.
And ye shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month. The whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening.
So you got to know when this first month is. Let's go to Deuteronomy, or the first year. Let's go to Deuteronomy, first month of the year. Deuteronomy 16. Deuteronomy 16, the first one. Deuteronomy 16 and verse 1. What's the first month called? When you're ready, go ahead.
Observe the month of Abib, and keep the Passover unto the Lord thy God.
So he said, observe the month of Abib and keep the Passover unto the Lord thy God. Go ahead.
For the month of Abib, the Lord thy God brought thee forth out of Egypt by night.
He said, in this month, in the new year, that's when I brought you out of captivity. See, it wasn't January 1st. So again, if this is God's calendar, how do we get to celebrating the January 1st as the new year? So it says January 1st month in our present calendar. Right? That's the calendar that's largely accepted. It consists of 31 days. It was, however, not the first month of the year in the British Isles till the Reformation of the calendar was made in 1752, when the legislature, by an act passed in the preceding year, altered the mode of the reckoning time from the Julian to the Gregorian style. The Julian calendar had all kinds of mistakes in it. That's why that Pope Gregory basically made the Gregorian calendar. Go ahead. Oh, sorry. At this period, it was directed that the legal year, which had commenced in some parts of the country on March 25th, and in others with January, should thenceforth be appointed to begin always on the 1st of January. They actually used to have it close to what it is in March. That's why when you look on the Gregorian calendar, what month is it right now? That's the question. What month is it right now? Yeah, I'm thinking, October. And what month is that? Very good. It's the 8th month, but on the calendar, they count it as what? The 10th month. But you know it's an 8 because Oct means 8, Sept means 7, right? Nov means 9, Det or DEC means 10, right? So that's just a remnant of how they used to actually keep the time. And so it says January derived its name from the god Janus. So you're up there drinking, right? On January 1st, telling everybody it's Happy New Year. This is in honor of a false god. It said January derived its name from the god Janus, who had two faces looking in opposite directions. And Mercabius states that it was dedicated to him because from its situation, it might be considered to be retrospective to the past and prospective to the opening of year. The opening year. The consecration of the month took place by an offering meal, salt, frankincense, and wine, each of which was new. On the first month, all enmities were suspended, presents were exchanged, councils installed, etc. the principal festivals now observed in this month. So now from a Catholic perspective, January 1st is very important. Why? Because just like when we read about the month of Abib and how we were able to calculate the Passover, and that's the day that we were brought out of captivity, according to Catholicism, New Year's Day, from January 1st, you got New Year's Day, then you got the Feast of Circumcision, January 6th. So they claim that Jesus was born on December 25th and was circumcised January 6th. Or you got Epiphany, you got the 12th day, January 25th, conversion of St. Paul. That's a picture of Janus, or a statuette of Janus. You see how he's young right here, the two-headed guy, and old right there. He also had a bunch of keys, right? To doors. That's where you even get the word janitor from. But here you see, if you look at the true New Year, Abib, it means fresh young corns. It's also the name, now this is from Strong's Concordance, the name of the first month of the Jewish calendar. There's no Jewish calendar, there's God's calendar. Okay? Let's go to the next one. Then here's another one in Christendom. See, this is Valentine's Day. People say, well, that's not a Christian holiday. Yes, it is. See, these days, this is not all of them, these are just the major ones. So from the World Book Encyclopedia on Valentine's Day, volume 20, page 24, it said the customs connected with the day, talking about Valentine's Day, probably came from an ancient Roman festival called Lupercalia, which took place every February 15th. If you've ever read the tragedy of Julius Caesar, it begins around this time, around the Lupercalia festival. The festival honors Juno, the Roman goddess of women and marriage, and Pan, the goddess of nature. And what they would do is, during that time, they'd have two young boys, because according to Roman tradition, Rome began with two young boys who were basically kept alive by a wolf. They sucked the teats of a wolf and were kept alive. That's what, and so what they did on the Lupercalia is that they would take the strips of a wolf, like cut it up, take the strips of it, dip the strips in blood, and then run around half naked, slapping women with the strips. And that was supposed to make them fertile. See, when you read Julius Caesar, Calpurnius, he's telling her, hey, listen, you better go out in front, Mark Antony's going to run past you, so you can get slapped, so you can get pregnant, so you can have this baby. See, that's the origin of this mess. So now how do you get saved? Why do you go from that to St. Valentine's Day? Again, they would just adopt all this paganism. And understand, this was a day, before I get to what the Catholic Church did, this was a day of licentiousness, fornication. They even had a love lottery where they had this lottery. You pick them, just pick somebody randomly, and that's your mate for a time period. This is, and when you think about what Valentine's Day is, right? It's totally surrounding sexual activity, fornication. But say, although there were several Christian martyrs named Valentine, the day may have taken its name from the priest who was martyred about 270 CE by the Emperor Claudius. Okay, Claudius, emperor, he didn't want any of his soldiers to be married, and this, according to legend, one priest named Valentine was marrying soldiers. It was martyred. According to legend, the priest signed a letter from your Valentine to his jailer's daughter, whom he had befriended. Another common legend states that Saint Valentine defied the emperor's orders and secretly married couples to spare their husbands from war. It is for this reason that this feast is associated with love. See, this is all about love, right? Yeah. Let's go to 1 Corinthians. This is about fornication. Let's keep it real. When men get mad, this is one thing, men, because if you don't bring a Valentine's Day gift, it's going to be trouble. And men should have been like, man, hey, wait, hold on, this is pagan, baby. You can't do this. Can't deal with this. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 6 and verse 18. That's why we shouldn't deal with this. 1 Corinthians 6 and verse 18, what does it say?
Flee fornication.
It says flee fornication. Now, they have Christians Christianized a day that was based on fornication, sexual rights. But he says, flee fornication. Why?
Every sin of the man doeth is well.
If you want to murder somebody, you murdered them. You want to steal this brother's wallet, you stole his wallet. But fornicate, that's done outside of your body. But what?
But every sin that a man doeth is without the body. He that committed fornication sinneth against his own body.
But when you fornicate, you sinning against your own body. And this is a day that's dedicated to fornication. Go ahead.
What? Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost?
You talk about a temple, don't you understand that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost? The Spirit of God is supposed to be dwelling inside of you. Go ahead.
Which is in you. Which ye have of God, and ye are not of your own.
Go ahead.
But ye are bought with the price. Therefore glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God.
So it says glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's. Let's go to the next one. So this is a picture. I didn't just make it up and I said they going around slapping women. There's a little boy, little half naked, but they young men, and they got their strips, and they smacking the women. And the women want to be smacked because they want to be first. See, that's the foolishness that we have. The next one is Lent. Right? Lent. So this is from John Casey in the Select Library of Nicene and Post-Nicene Fathers of the Christian Church. It says, it ought to be known that the observance, that should say Lent, did not exist as long as the primitive church retained its perfection unbroken. In other words, there was no celebration of Lent. That is not biblical. Go ahead. But what you do find in history, and you will find a reference to this in the Bible of false worship. This is from John Lancius Advanced Researches. It says, a 40-day abstinence period was anciently observed in honor of the pagan god Osiris, Adonis, and Tammuz. So let's look, go ahead. Let's find out who Tammuz is. This is from the Zondervan Victoria Bible Dictionary. Tammuz, a fertility god widely worshipped in Mesopotamia, where Abraham came from, Syria and Palestine, equivalent to the Osiris in Egypt and Adonis in the Greeks. You see how these references are meeting one another? His consort was the goddess Ishtar, Astarte or Astari. Their cult involved licentious rites, again, sexual licentiousness. Tammuz was supposed to have been killed by a wild boar while shepherding his flocks. His wife rescued him from the underworld. His death was taken to represent the onset of winter. See, they personified the sun, they personified these things that you would see in nature. So his death by the wild boar was supposed to represent the onset of winter, the death of the sun. So now you got no sons, now it's cold. That's supposed to be Tammuz, and now you're supposed to weep for him. This is what the Catholic Church adopted. And eventually, after Lent, you got what? You got Easter. So that Easter in the spring represents his rejuvenation through Ishtar, who is his consort. Sometimes a consort means, well, consort means the one that have a relationship with. Sometimes in some accounts of this same myth, that's his mother. See, this is all bad. Go ahead. Okay, so let's go to Ezekiel 8. What's that? Where you at? I'm sorry. Oh, 1 Timothy. Thank you. Let's go to 1 Timothy. Got ahead of myself. Thank you. 1 Timothy. Because it was prophesied that this was going on already. This is not anything new, but what was new is that it will be co-opted and repackaged in Christianity. And here, Paul prophesies of this. This is 1 Timothy 4, and we'll pick it up at verse 1. 1 Timothy 4 and verse 1. He's going to say something that should sound familiar. When you're ready, go ahead.
Now the Spirit speaketh expressly, that in the latter times, some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils.
So he says some are going to depart from the true faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils, or teachings of devils. See, when we think about what the Catholic Church has done, when we think about Babylon and the false worship, we need to understand that ultimately it derives from Satan. That's where all this false worship comes from. It comes from Satan. So it says, now the Spirit speaketh especially that in latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. Go ahead.
Speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with a hot iron, forbidding to marry and commanding to abstain from meat.
So now this is sound Catholic. Forbidding to marry. They don't allow their priests to marry. And you see what has happened as a result. I don't even need to get into that. You already know what's happening. Forbidding to marry, but it said, and commanding to abstain from meats. This is what they do during what time? During Lent. Go ahead.
Which God had created to be received with thanksgiving of them which believe and know the truth.
But the unlearned Baptist preacher will come here and say you can eat anything you want to eat. This is not talking about, because it says he received, he created it to be received with thanksgiving. All you got to do is pray. No, hypocrite. No, you are a liar. And you are misrepresenting what the Bible is saying. Forbidding to marry and commanded to abstain from meat. This is talking about Catholicism, which God had created to be received with thanksgiving of them which believe and know the truth. Because then you go on and say, where to sanctify, talking about what you eat by the word of God and prayer. When you go to the word, when you read Leviticus 11, you understand that you can't just eat anything, because that's where it's sanctified. That's where you are sanctified, even by what you eat. But let's go to Ezekiel 8. See? Because this old practice, Ezekiel 8, this old practice was even being done among the Israelites. What was new was that it would be pawned off, repackaged, as if this was of a true and living God. And that's what Catholicism has done in Lent. So this is Ezekiel, the 8th chapter and verse 5. Let's see what's written in the book of Ezekiel. When you're ready, go ahead.
Then said he unto me, Son of man, lift up thine eyes now the way toward the north. So lifted up mine eyes the way toward the north. And behold, north was at the gate of the altar, this image of jealousy in the entrance.
So now you got this image, right, of jealousy. He's a jealous God. So you got some false image here. Go ahead. Verse, amongst the people of God, verse 6.
He said furthermore unto me, Son of man, seest thou what they do?
Do you see what they're doing? Go ahead.
Even the great abominations that the house of Israel committed here. That I should go far from off my sanctuary. Return thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations.
Let me show you what these people are doing. Verse 7.
And he brought me to the door of the court. And when I looked, behold, a hole in the wall. Then said he unto me, Son of man, dig now in the wall. And when I digged in the wall, behold, the door. And he said unto me, Go in, and behold the wicked abominations they do here. So I went in and saw, and behold, every form of creeping things and abominable beasts, and all the idols of the house of Israel, portrayed upon the wall round about.
So now they have all this idolatry, all these idols everywhere in the house of Israel. Go ahead.
And there stood before them 70 men of the ancients of the house of Israel. And in the midst of them stood Jaazaniah, the son of Shaphan. Every man had censer in his hand, and a thick cloud of incense went up. Then said he unto me, Son of man, hast thou seen what the ancients of the house of Israel do in the dark? Every man in the chambers of his imagery. For they say, The Lord seeth us not. The Lord has forsaken the earth. So
they say the Lord don't see. So they even in the temple of God worshiping false. They got idols everywhere. Go ahead.
He said also unto me, Turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations that they do.
You're going to see some greater abominations. What are they doing? Verse 14.
Then he brought me to the door of the gate of the Lord's house, which was toward the north. And behold, there sat women weeping for Tammuz.
They weeping for Tammuz. You know, the one that was killed by a wild boar? The one we just read about? See, so even Israel had got caught up in this false worship. Go ahead.
Then said he unto me, Hast thou seen this, O son of man? Turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations than these. And he brought me into the inner court of the Lord's house, and behold, at the door of the temple of the Lord, between the porch and the altar, were about 25 men with their backs toward the temple of the Lord.
You're supposed to be facing the temple of the Lord. They got their back to the temple. What they doing?
And their faces toward the east.
And what are they doing?
And they worship the sun toward the east.
They turn their back on God, turn their back on the temple, and they worshiping the sun. Go ahead.
Then he said unto me, Hast thou seen this, O son of man? Is it a like thing to the house of Judah that they commit the abominations which they commit here?
Is this a light thing or is this serious? Go ahead.
For they fill the land with violence and have returned to provoke me to anger. And lo, they put the branch to their nose.
See, one thing you need to understand in false worship, and it's good to really understand what you should be doing and should not be doing, because false worship brings forth pain. Look at our condition right now as a people. Every social factor that you look at, we are on the bottom. We are destroyed people. Why? Because of false worship. So he said, look at all these tells the prophet, look at all these things. He said, he shows you something terrible. He said, I'm going to show you something worse than this. And then what does he say he's going to do because of this false worship? You know, the worship that we are engaged in as a people. Wholesale, verse 18.
Therefore, will also deal in fury.
He's going to deal in his fury towards his people. See, he's a just God, so punishment is just when you are in error. Therefore, will I also deal in fury. Go ahead.
Mine eyes shall not spare, neither will I have pity.
I'm not going to spare them. I'm not going to pity them. Go ahead.
And though they cry in mine ears with a loud voice.
He said, though they crying, no Lord save us. What he going to say? What he say?
Yet will I not hear you.
I'm not hearing you. I'm not hearing you. And that's how we are right now. Kids getting killed in the streets. Terrible situation. Poverty everywhere. What we going to do? We crying out to God every Sunday in the church. But he never told you to do that. And therefore, if you don't do what he says, how could you expect for him to hear you? We have to come up out of this false worship as people. Let's go to the next reference. And this one is on Easter. Concerning Easter, this is what comes right after Lent. So this is from the last too many years. It said, by historical tactical genius, the church, while entitled to pagan beliefs, was able to harness the powerful emotions generated by pagan worship. That's a very nice way of saying, listen, they co-opted the faith, and they just simply intermingled paganism. Often churches were cited where temples had stood before, and many heathen festivals were added to the Christian calendar. That's what we were reading about, all these heathen festivals. Easter, for instance, a time of sacrifice and rebirth in the Christian year, takes its name from the Norse goddess Esther, in whose honor rites were held every spring. She, in turn, was simply a northern version of the Phoenician earth mother Astarte, goddess of fertility. See, this is why you have Easter eggs. Eggs represent life. This is why you have bunnies. Bunnies are very fertile. Back in the old days, they would eat, if a woman was barren, you know what they would prescribe you? They would prescribe you some rabbit meat to eat. Because they believed that you would get pregnant by eating this. Easter eggs continue an age-old tradition in which the egg is a symbol of birth. And cakes which were eaten like the festivals of the Astarte and Esther were the direct ancestors of our high price ones. All this symbolism, even the Easter lily is a symbol because it looks like the female private area. Let's go to the next one. This is about Astarte or Ishtar. This is under Ishtar from the Dynamic Pictorial Bible Dictionary. It says Semitic goddess worshipped in Phoenicia, Canaan, Assyria, and Babylonia. Again, a hub of all false worship. Her name is spelled in various ways: Astarte, Asturta in the Armana letters, Ishtar in Babylonia, etc. The name and cult of the goddess were derived from Babylonia, where she was the goddess of love and war. The chief seat of her worship in Babylonia was Erech. Right? And you read about them dealing with Nimrod. It says the chief seat of her worship in Babylonia was Erech, where prostitution was practiced. So the name Easter comes from a pagan fertility goddess where prostitution was practiced in her name by bands of men and women. They had men prostitutes as well as women prostitutes in honor of this false pagan fertility goddess. In Assyria, warlike side of the goddess was stressed, and immoral rites were not a part of her worship. In Canaan, her warlike attributes were dropped, and she became a moon goddess and the consort of Baal. The Philistines worshipped her and built a temple for her at Ascalon. The immoral rites with which her worship was accompanied in Babylonia were transferred to Canaan. As early as the time of Judges, her cult was spread to the Hebrews. Solomon supported her worship, and the Hebrew women in Jeremiah's day gave her a high place in their worship. Here we have another one. All these references, Vine's complete expository dictionary of Old and New Testament words, the term Easter is not of Christian origin. See, this is the most important day in Christianity. This is the day in which Jesus was supposed to have risen from the grave. Easter, but it's not a pagan origin. Even when you read the one account of Easter and actually understand that if you look at the Greek, that word is Pascha, which means Passover. Nevertheless, it says one of the titles of the Chaldean goddess, the Queen of Heaven. The festival of Passover and the Feast of Unleavened was a continuation of the Jewish, that is God's feast. From the pagan festival of Easter was quite distinct, two separate things, and was introduced into the apostate Western religion. It was introduced into Catholicism. When they say apostate, they're talking about Catholicism as part of the attempt. Why they do it? It says to adapt pagan festivals to Christianity. That's why they did it. Let's go to Matthew 26. Because we should understand that what they're saying about Easter and using in the Bible to do it is a lie. They say he died on Good Friday and rose Easter Sunday. Well, let's see specifically when he died. This is Matthew 26, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Matthew 26 and verse 1. You ready? Go ahead.
And it came to pass, when Jesus had finished all these sayings, he said unto his disciples,
what did the master say?
You know that after 2 days is the feast of the Passover, and the Son of Man is betrayed to be crucified. He
said, listen, I'm gonna be crucified on the Passover. He came and died on the Passover, which fell not on Good Friday, but on a Wednesday of that week, as we should see. And we should understand that it's not possible that he died on Good Friday and rose Easter Sunday because of something he said out of his own mouth. This is Matthew 12 and verse 38. Matthew 12 and verse 38. When you're ready, go ahead.
Then certain of the scribes and of the Pharisees asked, saying, Master, we would see a sign from thee.
So they wanted to see a sign from him, the religious leaders. They wanted to see a sign. But what did he tell them?
And he answered and said unto them, An evil and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign.
An evil and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign. Go ahead.
And there shall no sign be given to it, but the sign of the prophet Jonas.
Which was what?
For as Jonas was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth.
So just like Jonas, he told him to go to Nineveh, and he didn't want to go. He was in that whale's belly for 3 days and 3 nights, and that's how it goes. So you can't get Good Friday. You can't get 3 days and 3 nights. This is a sign that he was the Messiah. You can't get 3 days and 3 nights. You know this. We can't get 3 days and 3 nights from Good Friday to Easter Sunday. So we should understand that he went in on the Passover, which was Wednesday night. He was in that Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday day, which was the Sabbath. That's why when Mary Magdalene came to the sepulchre, when it was yet dark, on the first day of the week, he was already gone because he was resurrected on the Sabbath. So what's this next day? Halloween. You say Halloween's not Christian. Yes, it is. The Catholic Church has called to all this paganism, have intermingled all this paganism. Even Halloween. So Halloween, also called All Hallows Eve, Hallow Evening, observed on October 31st, the eve of All Saints Day. How you get All Saints Day? Because that's what the Catholic Church put in. See, they took Halloween too. They took all this. They took Valentine's Day, everything. In ancient Britain and Ireland, the Celtic festival of Samhain is spelled S-A-M-H-A-I-N, but it's pronounced Samhain. Eve was observed at the end of summer. Later, the date of the observance was fixed upon October 31st. Okay? So first of all, even if you didn't know anything, some of these things are just culturally inappropriate. These days are of people in Europe. Why are we dealing with it as a people? Nevertheless, it said this date was the eve of the Celtic New Year. All fires were extinguished and a new ceremony of fire was kindled from which all heat fires were relit. That's where you get like bonfires from. The day connected with the return of herds and pasture and the laws and land tenure were renewed. Now this is what Halloween is about. Now when you look at like witches, Wiccans, this is a huge day in their practices. It says the souls of the dead were supposed to revisit their homes on this day. In addition, Halloween was thought to be the first favorable time for divinations. So now you can divine or make predictions concerning marriage, luck, health, and even death on Halloween. This is what they did. The pre-Christian observances influenced the Christian festival of All Hallows Eve, celebrated on the same day. Gradually, Halloween became a secular observance. Many customs and practices developed. In Scotland, young people assembled for games to ascertain which of them would marry during the year and in what order the marriage would occur. That's when you get bobbing for apples. Back in the day when they were bobbing for apples, they were trying to determine who was going to be married first. Many Halloween customs have become games played by children. A common symbol of Halloween is the jack-o'-lantern, an expression that originally alluded to a lantern-carrying night watchman. It is a hollow-out pumpkin with opening cut in it to suggest with an opening cut in it to suggest a face and with a lighted candle fixed inside. In Scotland, a turnip was used. All right. So when they came from Scotland to the United States, they were still observing Halloween. You know what they were doing? They were using turnips, but they didn't have a lot of turnips, so they started using pumpkins instead. That's how they got pumpkins. That's from Merriam-Webster's Encyclopedia of World Religions. This is from Halloween and commemorations of the dead, page 8. It says, around the time of its establishment, nearly 2,000 years ago, the Roman Catholic Church endeavored to transform pagan local celebrations into Christian holidays. Again, these references are telling you this, over and over and over again. For centuries, the church had designated the observance of All Saints' Day as a day to exalt the saints. Traditionally, All Saints' Day was celebrated in May. Because the Celts were reluctant to give up their sowing end of summer celebration, however, the church blended and fused sowing with All Saints' Day to evolve what is now known as the Eve of All Saints, Eve of All Hallows, or Halloween, celebrated in the fall. The name eventually became Halloween. One thing about them is, see, the Bible is telling you, you have to conform to it. This is a law. You have to bring your body into subjection. Catholicism is saying, oh, you're a pagan, this is what you want to do, you can still do it. You can still have these days. All right, let's go to Deuteronomy 18. Deuteronomy 18. So should we observe this? Of course not. But then again, you have many of our people that say, well, we know that's wrong, but we're going to have Hallelujah Day. Negro, who told you to come up with Hallelujah Day? You want to praise God? Why don't you do it on the Sabbath? You want to hallelujah? Why don't you do it on one of his annual feasts? See, it's still an affront to God. I will praise you, but I'm going to do it when I want to, not when you say it. That's because you have made a God in the vain imagination of your mind. This is Deuteronomy 18, and we're going to pick it up at verse 9. When you're ready, go ahead.
When thou art come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abomination of those nations.
So he told our people not to deal with the abomination of the nations in the land that we were kicking out. Go ahead.
There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire.
So he said none of you should do this. When Israel eventually were doing what they do, they were sacrificing their children to Molech. That's what they were doing. They were sacrificing their children to Molech. When you see that big owl of Bohemian Grove, that's what that is. That's Molech. They'll have like a little, something that's not real. They have a child in the arms of the owl, or at the feet of the owl. That's what they were doing long ago. So it says, when thou art coming to the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of the heathen of those nations. There shall not be found any among you that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that what?
Or they use divination.
We talked about what they were doing. This was a day of divination. He's telling us clearly, don't deal in that, or what?
Or an observer of time. Or an enhancer, or a witch.
Or a witch. This is the high day of witchcraft. So how can we deal in it? Go ahead.
Or a charmer. Or a consulter with familiar spirits.
So don't be a charmer or a consultant with familiar spirits, with unclean angels. That's what familiar spirits are. Like the witch of Endor. Go ahead.
Or a wizard, or a necromancer.
Or somebody that's call themselves talking to the dead. A wizard is just a male witch. Go ahead.
All that do these things are an abomination unto the Lord.
You are an abomination unto the Lord. But now you got our little children. They dressing up as witches and warlocks and everything else. Wait a minute. Culturally, this is not even your culture. But then when you look at what thus said the Lord, you're really not supposed to be dealing with it. He said, for all that do these things are an abomination unto the Lord, and because of these abominations, the Lord thy God does what?
They'll drive them out from before thee.
See, he punished these people for their false worship. But now you get into it, guess what? He's going to punish you. And here we see. Verse 13.
Thou shalt be perfect with the Lord thy God. For these nations which thou shalt possess, hearken unto observances of time and to divine. But as for thee, the Lord thy God had not suffered thee to do so.
That's good. That's good. He said, these nations which thou shalt possess, hearken unto observances of time. See, they did this, and they divined, and they transgressed. He said, but as for thee, the Lord thy God hath not suffered thee so to do. One thing about us, we were not told, we were actually shown as a nation what thus said the Lord. I'm sorry, say it. This is the next one, Thanksgiving. Now some would say, but Thanksgiving is not, shouldn't even be included as far as pagan days. This is just showing you where it comes from. This is from World Book Encyclopedia 1942 edition. On the Thanksgiving Day, it says Thanksgiving Day in the United States and Canada, a day set apart for giving of thanks to God for the blessings of the year. Originally, it was a harvest Thanksgiving, and while the purpose has become less specific, see, people say it's whatever, it's just that they sit around and eat turkey and get fat and watch football and say thank you. But where it comes from, the festival still takes place late in autumn after the crops have been gathered. Indeed, it is probably an outgrowth of the harvest home celebrations in England. So it's a harvest celebration. Such celebrations are of very ancient origin. Like we read in Malachi Hall, talking about the Aboriginal people, or the peoples of antiquity, being nearly universal among primitive peoples. What do primitive people do? What do primitive people do? When the harvest came in, they thanked the God of the harvest. That's what they did. So these people from England were doing that. And you know what? That's where it comes from. Even when you look at certain words like cereal or cereal, that's like the God of harvest. When you say cereal, that's from the God Sirius. The same thing. So that's the origin of those. Okay? That was nothing new. It didn't start in America when the pilgrims came here. That's not when that started, when Thanksgiving started. They had been doing that. You know, and they had a reason to give some thanks for all the hardships they went through. Right? They went through some terrible hardships. The vast majority of the people, the first settlers from Europe that came here, these so-called pilgrims, they came here, and the vast majority of them died. And many of the ones that were alive resulted in cannibalism. They were digging up bodies eating. That's what they were doing. And so that survival, when that harvest first came in, and they were kept alive by the indigenous people, they said, thank you. Woo. Now let's kill these indigenous people and get them out the way and take their land. All right, let's go to Nehemiah 8. Nehemiah 8 chapter. Nehemiah 8 chapter, and we're going to pick it up at verse 13. Because you want to talk about a fall festival, what should we be doing? Here, we find out. Here in the days of Ezra and Nehemiah, they're coming out of captivity. And let's see what it says. Nehemiah 8 and verse 13. You ready to go here?
And on the second day were gathered together the chief of the fathers of all the people, the priests and the Levites, unto Ezra the scribe, even to understand the words of the Lord.
So now they're coming together to understand the instruction of God. They're coming out of captivity. Go ahead.
And they found written in the law which the Lord had commanded by Moses, that the children of Israel shall dwell in booths in the feast of the 7th month.
So now in the 4th month, it wasn't that they should deal with some Halloween or deal with some Thanksgiving. It says they found written in the law which the Lord had commanded by Moses that the children of Israel should dwell in booths in the feast of the 7th month. Go ahead.
And that they should proclaim in all their cities and in Jerusalem, saying,
Go ahead.
Go forth into the mount and fetch olive branches and vine branches and myrtle branches and palm branches and branches of thick trees to make booths, as it is written. So the people went forth and bought them and made themselves booths, every one upon the roof of his house, and in their courts, and in the courts of the house of God, and in the street of the water gate, and in the street of the gate of Ephraim. And all the congregation of them that were come again out of captivity made booths, and sat in the booths. For since the days of Joshua, the son of Nun, unto that day had not the children of Israel done so. And they were very great glad.
And they were glad. So once they read, they actually, you know what they did? They actually did what thus said the Lord. And they got the materials necessary to build these booths. And they said they hadn't done so since the days of Joshua. And there was very great gladness. And what did they do? Verse 18.
Also day by day, from the first day until the last day, he read in the book of the law of God. And they kept the feast 7 days. And on the 8th day was a solemn assembly, according unto the mass.
Because that's what we read. That's what we read in Leviticus the 23rd chapter. That's what they were supposed to do. And they did what thus said the Lord. And understand that, again, that day is memorial. It points to the time when Israel dwelt in booths, but it also points to the regathering of Israel. Right? You see it here, they go into the land, but it's going to be a regathering from the north, south, east, and west. Wherever his elect have been scattered, and then it's going to be a gathering into the God family. That's what Tabernacles points to. Thanksgiving doesn't point to anything but a betrayal. Let's go to the next day is Christmas, right after Thanksgiving. Right? Where did this come from? This is an encircled study of serpent symbolism in all countries and ages. It said the Christmas festival of the sun god on the 25th of December was celebrated by many ancient peoples as the Natalis Invictus Solis, the birthday of the unconquered sun. S-U-N-N. This is all about sun worship. For the time of the winter solstice, that was during that time, and according to the old calendar, it was December 25th. Now it happens around December 21st, December 22nd. So it said, for the time of the winter solstice, when the days begin to lengthen, was regarded as a fitting symbol of the God's reincarnation or birth for the purpose of subduing enemies. The incarnated God was known by different names in different periods. We may find him as Nimrod, as Tammuz, or Adonis, and as Bacchus, and every his birth is celebrated with feasting and revelry. The word Yule is the Chaldee term for an infant or a little child. And Christmas Day was known among the people as Yule Day or the Child's Day, whilst Christmas Eve was called by them Mother Night. This is under Catholicism, under the Harper's Encyclopedia of Catholicism, page 310. It admits, it says, although the actual day of Christ's birth is not known, the date for the celebration was designated as December 25th by the early 4th century in Rome, and celebrated liturgically was such. One such hypothesis for the introduction of the Roman feast of Christ's birth on that day suggests that December 25th was celebrated as the birthday of the invincible or unconquered sun. And you would tell people this. You tell them, I don't celebrate Christmas. Why? Because Jesus was born on December 25th. They say, yeah, he was. It's in the Bible. You show them it's not in the Bible. And you know, they say, I'm going to keep this day anyway. Do it in the spirit. What you do with that? Again, that's the audacity of man. Emperor Aurelian established in 274 in honor of the Syrian sun god. To counter worship of the pagan god in favor of Christ, the true Son of Justice, the Church of Rome located the Feast of Christ's birth on that same day. Again, intermingling. That's good. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so let's go to Luke 2, Gospel according to Luke, and see how obviously he couldn't have been born on December 25th. This is Luke 2, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Luke 2 and verse 1. And if you ever really think about it, what is a reindeer and a fat man coming down a chimney with gifts and a tree had to do with Christ at all? Absolutely nothing. This is Luke 2. We're going to pick it up at verse 1. You ready? Go ahead.
And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed.
So this is around the time of the Messiah. It's birth. All right? This was not in winter, but go ahead.
And this taxing was first made when Cyrenius was governor of Syria.
Uh-huh.
And all went to be taxed, every one into his own city.
Uh-huh. So that's where they're going to their own city. And that's why Joseph and Mary they are traveling at this time. Go ahead.
And Joseph also went up from Galilee out of the city of Nazareth into Judea.
Go ahead.
Unto the city of David, which is called Bethlehem.
Uh-huh.
Because he was of the house and lineage of David.
That's how the Messiah could be the son of David, because his earthly lineage, his earthly father was of the house of David. Go ahead.
To be taxed with Mary, his espoused wife.
So he was not married to her. They were espoused. They had not consummated the marriage. Go ahead.
Being great with child.
She was great with child. Go ahead.
And so it was that while they were there, the days were accomplished that she should be delivered.
So now it's time to have a baby. Go ahead.
And she brought forth her firstborn son and wrapped him in the swaddling clothes and laid him in a manger because there was no room for them in the inn. So no room in the inn, so they had him in a manger. And what happened? And there were in the same country shepherds abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. Now you know it wasn't even in that area. It gets extremely cold in winter. This was not their custom for the shepherds to abide in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night in the dead of winter. So you can say what you want, but one thing is for sure, even if you deny that, you understand that no specific date is given. So then you have to ask yourself the question, why did they choose December 25th? Right? It was all about sun worship. That's what it was about. Let's go to Revelation, the 18th chapter. It was all about sun worship. And then furthermore, if you want to really get down, you can ask yourself another question. Okay, so when did he tell me I need to honor this day and observe his birth? No, I was telling you about his death. Tell you about Passover. Tell you about atonement. But again, people do what they want to do. But we should understand that ultimately all this is going to come to an end. All this false worship. This is the last place. Revelation 18, and we'll pick it up at verse 1. Revelation 18 and verse 1. We ready? Go ahead. And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lighted with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, what? Babylon the great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. See, it's going to come a time where all that's been built up, this whore, this woman, Babylon, is going to fall. Go ahead. All nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. All the nations of the earth have been made drunk from her. Go ahead. And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacy. The merchants of the earth get paid. That's where they get Black Friday from. Because they call it Black Friday because a lot of times these companies are in the red, they're in debt, they're not making a profit until this time. It's like when they were crying out for Diana. And the merchants at that time they said, listen, this is how we make our money. And this one here is going against that. We got to have our money. So it said the merchants of the earth have waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. I can remember when I graduated from college, and then I went back to school and was working several jobs, and one of the jobs was at this little Cuba shoe store, right? And they said, okay, this is the day.
was it, Thanksgiving or after Thanksgiving? When they start shopping? Is that after Thanksgiving? Right after Thanksgiving, you know I had to be at that store at 3 o'clock in the morning. Why? Because people were coming, they're losing their mind trying to buy these cheap shoes. I couldn't think, I couldn't say, man, these people are crazy. But I had to be there. It's still dark outside. It's cold. People in there sleepy, half sleepy, but they're trying to get these shoes. And what? And it was packed. 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, it packed in there. A line outside. So it says, and the mercies of the earth have waxed rich through the abundance of our delicacy. And people act the rudest at this time. If it's supposed to be about Christ, why are you acting like a jerk? Why are you so rude? Why are you pushing people out of the way to get some cheap video games? Why are you snatching toasters from little kids? Because you are crazy. You are drunk with the wine of fornication. Verse 4.
And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people.
But we're called to come out of her. Spiritually speaking, come out of this false worship. Go ahead.
That ye be not partakers of her sins.
So not destroy with it. Go ahead.
And that you receive not of her pledge. For her sins are preached unto heaven. And God had remembered her iniquities. At that time, said a cup of iniquity would have reached his brim. It's like when he told Abraham, he told him, walk before me and be perfect. Come out of Babylon. And he told you, you're going to go into your own land, but understand the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. See, it comes a time when you are punished for your sin. And this is this time. It said, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities. Let's skip down to verse 9. And he came to the earth, which committed fornication and lived deliciously with her.
What's going to happen?
Shall bewail her.
They're going to bewail her. They're going to cry. It said, and remember her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. Verse 11. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her. No man buy the merchandise anymore. No man gonna buy that junk anymore. When the Lord comes back and establishes his kingdom on the earth, he's gonna reign out of Jerusalem. From Zion shall go forth the law. And you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna go up from year to year to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. Not Thanksgiving, not Christmas, not Easter, not Lent, not Halloween, but Tabernacles. Go ahead. Verse 18. Thank you. And cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city? And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, alas, alas, that great city, wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness. For in 1 hour she made desolate. Rejoice over her. You said rejoice over her. Go ahead. Thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, but God had avenged you on her. All that have been killed, he said, rejoice. It says, the heaven and ye holy apostles and prophets, for God hath avenged you on her. Verse 21. And the mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more ruled. Go ahead. And the voice of harpers and musicians and of pipers and trumpeters shall be heard no more at all in thee. And no craftsman of whatsoever craft he be shall be found any more in thee. He don't make idols for you anymore. Go ahead. And the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more at all in thee. Go ahead. And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee. And the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth. For by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. He said, for by thy sorceries, your witchcraft, all the nations have been deceived. People are deceived, but that's going to come to an end. Go ahead, verse 24. And in her was found the blood of prophets and of saints and of all that was slain upon the earth. And that's the pagan origins of Christian holidays. It's always my prayer that you will edify. Our Father which art in heaven.
Our Father which art in heaven.
Hallowed be thy name.
Hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy will be done.
Thy will be done.
On earth.
In earth.
As it is in heaven.
As it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread.
Give us this day our daily bread.
Forgive us our debts.
And forgive us our debts.
Forgive our debtors.
As we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation.
And lead us not into temptation.
But deliver us from evil.
But deliver us from evil.
Thine is the kingdom.
Thine is the kingdom.
And the power.
And the power.
And the glory.
And the glory. forever.
Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
For he is good.
For he is good.
And his mercy endures forever.
And his mercy endures forever.
Praise the Lord God of Israel.
Praise the Lord God of
For
Israel.
he is good.
For he is good.
And his mercy endures forever.
And his mercy endures
These
forever.
things we pray in Jesus' name.
These things we pray in Jesus'
The Holy
name.
One of Israel.
The Holy One of
The
Israel.
Mighty One of Jacob.
The Mighty One of
The
Jacob.
Lord of Lords.
Lord of Lords.
The King of Kings.
And the King of Kings.
Amen.
As earlier, I just want to acknowledge those who are listening via the internet. It's always a blessing for you to worship with us. So I pray that you are edified with the lesson today. I don't know if anybody had any questions. So